What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Let me say that one more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. I like to play and party with the people. I got a lot of weddings coming up real soon. My goodness, I booked at least three in the past few days. So people are starting to break out and starting to plan for after this quarantine, this COVID-19 thing that we're going through. I'm kind of excited about that. Oh, speaking of excited, today on the program I have Mala Patterson. Who's Mala Patterson? You're going to find out in the next few minutes. So stick around for that. Mala Patterson. Yeah. And this week's shows, let's see, I have one public show this week, the 3rd of July. That's Friday night, July 3rd. Celebrate your independence a little bit early over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That's my usual Friday night gig, the video dance party, karaoke jam. They got the full bar, the kitchen, the pool tables. In fact, on Friday nights, they have the pool tournament. So if you want to make some money on a Friday night, you might get involved in the pool tournament. They're a good group, and you could win. You could win some money if you know angles and English. And I played pool when I was a kid, but I never learned that much. But I know it's a lot to do with angles and putting the right amount of chalk on the end of your pool stick so the balls go in the hole. Yeah, it's mathematics and a lot of skill that I don't have. My skill is on the other side of the room, over on the digital wheels of steel, the ones and twos, two turntables and a microphone. And of course, the stage right next to me where you get to sing and be the star of the karaoke show. Yeah, you. So come on out to the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Put it on the tour on Friday night, and that starts at 8 p.m. and we go until about 1 in the AM. And then on Saturday, hey, it's the 4th of July, American Independence Day. How are you celebrating? Drop me some comments. Let me know what you're up to on the 4th of July. I don't have any gigs set up, but I suspect I'm going to be having some barbecue or some kind of American food. Delicious. Celebrating living in the USA and celebrating our independence. All right, let's get into it with Mala Patterson. Kind of excited to talk to her. I've been watching her videos on YouTube. Ooh, I'm not going to say anything more. Let me get into it. We got the Skype all set up, and let me Skype Mala Patterson now.
It's still stuck. I was trying to make it go in on the settings side, and it's a 10. I could get the directions to do it for a 7, but it's not for a 10.
You're a 10, no problem. Go ahead and put yourself right in the middle.
Here's a moment in your life you wish I was a 6 or a 7.
No, you'll make it. We'll make it work. Yeah, it looks just fine. I mean, it's not fitting. You know how you watch CNN or Fox
Right.
News where you'll have one broadcaster on one side and then somebody else on the other side. That's what I'm
Right.
trying to fit you on my broadcast software, but it's not quite working. That's fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Nothing you did. All right. Mala Patterson in the house. All right. If you'll just put it someplace stationary.
Okay. Let me go get it. Yeah. I'll have to run a second. Let me get a music stand. I'm making you don't want Private Ryan videoing.
Oh man. Be like it would make me sick to my stomach. And maybe all my listeners as well. Viewers.
That's exactly what I want to hear a man say. I'm making sick to his stomach.
Not you at all. It's just the motion of the camera.
Sounded really, really rough, and that was not that rough.
A little bit. Now center yourself. Center yourself. Center yourself. Oh, look at that beautiful picture in the background.
Yeah. From Family Dollar for $15. Let me shut the door.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh. I live in a log cabin.
You live in a log cabin.
Yes, I actually, this is my mom's, and I built one beside her. I went to log cabin college in Georgia, and I learned how, I did all the chinking, I did all kinds of stuff on it.
There's a log cabin college in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, it's a company called Permatink, and they have these log cabin maintenance workshops, different places in the country. And I happened to attend one in Georgia, and it was log cabin college.
No way. Mala Patterson.
Yes.
Obviously, Keys Dan here, the What Makes You Famous podcast. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How about you? Do you prefer Dan or Mr. Keys or
You can call me
Keys
Dan.
Daddy or what?
Hey, that's fine. You can call me Dan. Daniel Gilson's my proper name. Keys Dan's been my stage name, my nom de plume since I was in the Florida Keys, and and,
Oh,
and that's where. But I hang my hat now in Conway, Arkansas. So I'm
yeah.
hanging in the South. But you said you had something going on. I mean, I was trying to get you on a little bit earlier so that way you didn't have to stay up so late. But you had something going on up till now.
Yeah.
What were you
Yes.
doing?
Yes. I'm really blessed to have students of all different ages and all different instruments, but my last student tonight is very special. He is 23 years old and he has Down syndrome, and he is just a sweetheart. And he takes percussion from me. He works on a full drum kit and a djembe drum. So he's a lot of fun all the time, pulling pranks on me and stuff during our lessons.
Now I'm guessing this is not an in-person lesson. It's like a Zoom lesson, maybe.
No, he does come in person.
Oh, cool. I'm so glad about that. I'm so happy. I know that we're living in this time of
So,
social distance. That has to be the word of the year or the words
I
of the year. It has to.
Well, right. And it wasn't even really like a phrase or a word even on our radar 6 months ago. And now it's just, it's a new word. But he did take off a while because he has immunity. And so I told his parents whenever they felt comfortable and safe, they would be welcome back. But I did not push them anytime. And anytime they feel like they need to stop, we can stop. But he came tonight. We had a blast.
Oh, you're fantastic. All right.
Thanks.
Full disclosure, I've been on your YouTube. I've been
Okay.
having so much fun watching the progression of Mala Patterson from 7 years ago until now.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I want you to give the blurb. Say you're looking at your Wikipedia page, that top little paragraph. Give the people an
Uh-huh.
idea of who a Mala Patterson is.
Oh, I I really try to be a well-rounded Renaissance woman, and so I love music and dance. But I'm also very proud because I work hard and I try to treat people with respect. But I'm just a hillbilly. I'm the queen of the hillbillies, and I love music and dance and working hard.
Well, that's pretty lofty. If you're the queen of the hillbillies, you know,
Queen,
yeah.
yes,
Whereabouts were you
queen of
born? That
the
makes you a hillbilly.
Well, you do know that, Alabama's pretty flat compared to a lot of places, but the term hillbilly was first used to describe people in Alabama. So, yeah, yeah.
How? What you
How,
talking about?
yes, yes. There was an article around the early 1900s, and I believe it was a reporter from New York, and he wrote an article about Alabama people. And he kind of defined, if I remember, I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing, that a hillbilly dressed how he wanted, ate what he wanted, and got by the best way he knew how. So,
Don't worry, none of my listeners are fact checking anything at all. They're fact checking everything. They are fact.
uh,
The comments will be coming, and they will
okay,
let you know
I'm
what a
sorry.
hillbilly
I'm
is.
just paraphrasing, not quoting.
Yeah. Now, just the term hillbilly, it
Right.
means that if there's a person from the hills, it doesn't make any sense to have a flat landed person. I'm from Florida.
Well,
It's underwater mostly, especially South Florida, the Florida Keys. It seems
uh,
like most of that is below sea level. There's no way that there be hillbillies from way down south or flat lands. I'm flabbergasted. I'm
yes. Well,
perplexed.
I live in the Tennessee Valley. close to the Tennessee River. Although I'm in Alabama, I'm barely over in Alabama. And so around us are hills. So I guess I'm kind of like a Southern Valley girl, I reckon. But I call myself a hillbilly.
All right, we're learning lots about Mala Patterson, a Valley girl, and that's strictly California from the Valley
Yeah.
in California. So, but I'm learning. I know you're a fun person. I mean just your YouTube, if that's any indication of who you are. Okay, what is your primary instrument of playing? When what do you like? What do you play?
That is so tough. I started out playing piano by ear when I was like 4 or 5. And so my grandmother, my mother's mother, my mother really encouraged me. And so piano is really my instrument that I have the most skill on. But most people know me as a guitar player. And the last couple years, I've fallen in love with the mandolin. And I play the mandolin a whole lot.
Uh-huh. I've seen the mandolin. I've seen the
Yeah.
banjo. I've seen the violin.
Yeah.
I've seen and all the while you're tapping, you're tap dancing the whole
and,
time.
and don't forget cat paws or wooden spoons.
Yes,
I,
the wooden
yeah.
spoons. Uh,
Ma Bailey, who she has passed away now, and she's singing in heaven with the angels. I met her in Arkansas, and she turned me on to playing the wooden spoons or the cat paws.
just okay. What's a cat paw? I know that you play them. What is a cat paw?
Right. Well, no offense to spoon players. A lot of spoon players like metal spoons, and they're really loud and clacky, and that's great. But I prefer to play wooden spoons, and that's what's called cat paws. So they're a little bit um, they're not as loud. They're a little bit more subdued, if playing spoons can be subdued, but they're carved out of like one piece of wood. And so you actually don't have to hold two pieces and play. You just have, they're connected, but they call them cat paws because that's what little, cat paws is.
It is a bit more subtle. I mean, I know when I was a kid, I would grab some spoons out of my mom's cupboard or my mom's
Yeah.
drawer there and start playing, and it was quite loud. I'm watching Hee Haw, and I'm emulating the people that are up there playing spoons.
Right.
Probably the same lady you were just talking about. Was she from Hee Haw?
She actually was from Arkansas. I don't know if she ever went to Hall, but when Mickey Gillies opened up his club, she actually played spoons at the grand opening of Mickey Gillies' club. But she was. I'm trying to remember where I met her in Arkansas. It was at a horse arena where they were having a music festival, and she's one of the people that have been so kind and encouraged me as a musician. So.
Okay, so 4 years old, you start playing piano. Who got you into that?
I lost you just a second. I'm sorry. Repeat that.
Okay, 4 years old, you start playing piano. Who got you into playing piano? Who could, who talked you into that?
My grandmother had an old rickety piano at her house, and my cousins they actually just took a pencil and they wrote all the letters on the keys. And I guess I never say I'm bored 'cause I always have something going on. But I guess it was just kind of there, and I just started playing it one day.
So playing it
So
by ear, what kind of songs
right.
do you think that you were playing? Stuff from church? Because I know that you
Well,
played some church music on your YouTube, but what stuff were you playing?
okay, this is so crazy. We have to backtrack 2 years.
I want to.
Um, my mother is very very petite and slim, and I was the biggest baby ever known to mankind. I was like 30 pounds, and my poor mama got down to 90, and I refused to walk. But when I started to walk, the weight just fell off me. And mom said I had little bitty kildy legs. So she put me in ballet class at 2 years old to build up my legs. So when I started playing piano, mom said I was actually playing the melodies like classical songs from ballet class.
Oh,
I was picking them out.
that's fantastic. Do you remember any of the songs? I mean, we're going back a ways. You're 2 to 4 years old, but you're doing and what was the term you kildy legs? What was that?
Kildy, Kildy, the little bird, that you don't know what a kildy
You're
bird
teaching me
is.
things. This is what I do. I learn from people on this podcast. I'm learning from you, Mala Patterson.
Oh, I have all kinds of worthless, useless information in this noggin.
Tell me everything. I want it all.
But a kildee is a little bird that's real common in Alabama, and it makes its nest on the ground. And so they're really really fast. And what the mother does, if you get close to the nest on the ground, she runs really really fast away from the nest to try to get your attention to go over there. But they have little bitty legs, and they walk real fast. So that's kildee legs. If you walk fast and have little skinny legs. But
All right. Next
I
time I go to the gym, I'm
yeah,
talking to those guys that don't like to do legs. They oh it's chest and buys chest. Oh, got to work my back.
they
What
have
about those little
kildee
kildy
legs.
legs? Yeah.
Yes.
What about those kildy legs? And they're gonna look at me like I looked at you. And, oh, don't you know what a kildy is? It's that bird
Yeah.
in Alabama that builds a nest on the floor. Yeah, because he can't fly. Ha ha ha. I get it. All right.
I think there's killdees other places. Maybe I'm saying it funky with my accent. Maybe it's something else, but we call them killdees.
What accent? You don't have an accent. Everybody else has an accent.
No, you know God sounds like me, right?
All right. That's pretty lofty right there.
Well, think about it. Think about it. Like God, you think God really says pop? You know, God, you want God to be like a Southern granddaddy to welcome you in and hug him.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure the devil has a British accent.
They do in the movies. That's for sure.
Oh
Yeah, it seems like all the bad guys, especially if you watch Star Wars, the bad guys are all British. The good guys are all American. So yeah, I think there's something to that.
Revolutionary War. We have not finished.
Uh-oh. That's very timely. That's very timely. What's going on right now in this time? And I guess we can get to current events, but we're going through the years with Mala Patterson. You started on piano at 4 years old. How far did that take you? I mean, what were you doing at 4 years old playing stuff by ear? When was the first time that you took a lesson? Did you ever take a lesson back then?
I did. I ended up. I have two brothers who were adopted from El Salvador, and they look very much like Dwayne Johnson if Dwayne Johnson was squished down about a foot. And so, anyway, when they were adopted, where we live in Alabama, they did not have a lot of English as second language programs. So my parents found a teeny tiny little private school, and so they put us in private school together. There was like 8 kids in a class, and so I started piano lessons in first grade. And oh my gosh, they taught me how to read music, which I'm so grateful for. But at the time, oh, it was horrible because I was used to playing by ear and feeling and having to follow that page exactly the same way every time. And my first recital was such a crash and burn. I swore I would never play in public again. And now, thousands of shows later, I laugh about it. But the first piano recital was crash and burn.
Well, do you think that reading music and learning how to play music using music notes and using actual sheet music, do you think that hurt your playing by ear, or can you still play by ear? Pick things up
Oh
pretty
yeah,
well.
um, my teachers. It's really a shame because when I teach lessons, I try to incorporate both. But a lot of like music colleges, universities, they really shun it because like Beethoven, he decided, and it may have been because of his hearing loss. He put down every note that he wanted you to play, and did not want you to improvise at all. But like Mozart and composers before him, they played by ear. Their music was kind of like a blueprint, and they followed it, but they changed it. Uh, some of those early composers, they really they would get benefactors that would pay them money. So if they somebody liked a fast song, they would play all their songs fast. If somebody liked trills, so they would customize their songs. But reading music for a while, it really stifled my ear playing. And I kind of just stuck to the sheet music because my teachers at the time wanted that. And so, but when I became 14 or 15, um, 15 or 16, I started playing guitar and I picked that up by ear.
Oh,
So I
fantastic.
can read guitar music and stuff, but
Yeah.
I just still like to be a good musician. you need to be able to use that ear and be able to read sheet music. I think they can work hand in hand, but a lot of times they fight.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I was just listening to a podcast talking about Beethoven, and Beethoven's my favorite. The ninth is Ode to Joy. Just makes me happy. It was my ringtone for the longest time. But from what I understand, maybe we have been playing it wrong. The way he wanted it played is not well. I don't remember if it was faster or slower than generally is known to play it. Have you ever heard any of this where Beethoven may have wanted to play it na, really long and drawn out to where his 30-minute ode to joy would have been hours and hours of music one time.
It's totally possible. And Ode to Joy was my first piano recital that I crashed and burned on.
Yeah. Okay. So you maybe it doesn't hold it as high a place in your heart because
No, it's beautiful. It's
yeah.
beautiful. But for a 6 or 7 year old, it was a I can look back on it now. It was an experience that I can laugh about now, but at the time it wasn't a happy time. But now it's funny, and it's a funny story to tell.
Oh, for the kids that are listening, anything that you would call maybe a failure, it's a learning experience. Turn
Yes,
that
yes,
word failure into learning experience.
that's
That's what
exact.
it
That's
is.
exactly. It's exactly right. I always say, I read a book a college professor gave me a long time ago, and it said, "Don't take everything so like if you mess up at a recital, you're the worst one there. You're still alive. You've got a chance to play again. It's not the end of the world. It's like, okay, it was like the book was talking about you have to remove yourself from it, and you're like, okay, I didn't do my best. What happened that made me do that? And then try to, learn from it and move on. I learned stuff because, when we play shows, every song's not perfect, but, we have a good time. The audience a lot of times doesn't know there's mistakes. And I learned something to make the next show better.
Oh, at 6 years old, you're already a dancer. You
Yes,
learn
sir.
ballet. You're a pianist.
Mhm.
You and how many? I mean, this was. I'm guessing your first grade. Is the whole school that's at this recital?
Yes, it was. And of course, it was a small school from like preschool to seniors, but it was about 200 kids plus parents. Yeah,
Wow,
so
that's a lot of
yeah,
pressure on a kid.
well, and part of it too, if I had been allowed, like when I tell my students, I said, hey, this is what we have planned. But if something happens different, roll with it. But no offense to my teacher at the time, but she was very much have to follow this and do this exactly the same way. If I had had this is what we practiced, but go out there and do the best you can. So instead of performing at that time, I was just so worried about following that sheet, and that ruined the performance. That's what happened.
Yeah, you just went through the two schools of learning. You could either let the kids try and fail, or you
Right,
can be very rigid with them where they won't have as much fun, and maybe it won't stick as much. I mean, the kids they have to have fun. If you want them to
right,
keep at it, they have to put it in their hearts. I mean, I know that there's some of the schools the what is it the schools in Europe. If you watch them in movies, they're very rigid, and only the
right.
best of the best that can do it properly. You must do it this way. But I'm so glad that you know that way. You've learned that way, but
Right.
you teach your own way. And I know we're skipping way forward. I mean, you
Fine.
not only learned how to play, but you're also a teacher, and that I mean, I commend you on that.
Thank
To teach the future of this, because once you get to a certain age and you develop some knowledge, you need to teach people how to do it. If anybody
right.
wants to learn how to make a podcast, I'll teach you. Learn how to DJ, I'll teach you. Learn how to be a radio broadcaster, I will help you along your way. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And you became a
Exactly.
musician, and you're a teacher now. And so, all right, you did the piano. You did that first. You could have quit, but you
Right.
didn't.
But I didn't.
But you didn't. Who kept you going? Who when you were sobbing, oh, I did so poorly. That wasn't the best. I could have done better. Who was the one that you put your shoulder, cried on their shoulder?
Okay. My cheerleader, she's always here for me, but she's a very much pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of person, is my mama. Her name is Patsy Patterson. And she's always my her mother is where I get my Native American heritage. I'm part Chickasaw. So her mother was Irish and Chickasaw, and she very hard worker, very kind person. But you work hard, you fall on your face, you get up, you go again. And so mother always encouraged me, but my mother is not a delusional mother. She'll tell me, if you look bad one day, if you need your makeup fixed, if that song sounded bad, she's on. Because she said, I'd rather you hear it from me and grow and change than think you're delusional perfect and you go out in the world and have somebody else. Sometimes I'm so mean. I call her butterfly killer. She really encourages my dreams, but sometimes I'm like, can you not just be on my side? Can you not be positive? And she's like, I'm a realist.
I'm sure she's always on your side. My mom was the
She
same way.
is.
My mom would, well, I had my brother and then my stepsister, and we'd be stuck
Uh,
at home by ourselves because primarily she, had to raise us, and she had to go off to work a lot. So we stayed at home a lot. And we were, Mom, how come you can't be home? You'll be fine. Tough love. And I think tough love is, it has something, there's lots of benefit to that, the tough
yes.
love. You can't coddle kids so much. Yes, there is one. There's a thing to be hugged, but
Right.
there's a whole generation, and it's so timely. I just heard about this. The whole generation of people that did not give hugs. My father never hugged me. He
Uh,
wasn't a hugger. There's a reason for that. Remember the flu pandemic of 1918? Everybody's hearing
yeah.
about that now. Well, back then they were just learning about viruses and flus and germs, and they were socially distancing. So it carried on even after the pandemic was over, even after the 1 or 2 years when it was over. That thought still carried on. Oh, no hugging, no hugging. So it's so odd that that comes back around. That tough love from a couple of generations back, or even one generation back. Some of those people are still alive.
Right.
It's hanging around because of the pandemic
And
of
they
1918.
were showing love by not hugging. They were showing concern, love by not doing it. So it's just there's a time and a place for everything. And so,
Yeah, it's
but
perspective, and you have that perspective, and it's good that you can, think back and kind of look. Oh, all right. Why is that person like that? That's the social,
yeah,
the psychiatrist in me, or I think psychology was my first love in school, and sociology. I learned just enough to mess me up for the rest of my life. Now I look at people and go, why does he have his
yeah,
arms crossed like that? Why is they looking at me like this? No, I try to read people, but I'm enjoying seeing, it's nice that we have this video technology and I get to see your face even though you're miles and miles away, and it's almost like having a face-to-face conversation. So for anybody that's listening to just the audio portion of this, I encourage you to check it out. Check out the YouTube version of it, and that way you can get a little more interactive with Mala Patterson. Mala Patterson. My goodness, that's the first time I said it wrong.
that's all
No,
right.
okay. So we're going through the years. I mean, yeah. So mom, the lovely mom Patterson, she
Yeah.
she kept you going. You started playing piano. You got better and better, and then slowly you got more instruments under your belt. What was the next thing
Right.
that you were playing? When did you feel comfortable playing the piano, and then going off to other instruments? What year?
So about 15 or so, 15, 16, I started playing guitar. And then my younger brother, who, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. His name is John R. Kelly Patterson. I know, a whole different time, a whole different story. But anyway, he decides to play a wash tub bass. So it's a number three wash tub with a hoe handle and a parachute cord. So he gets the nickname Tub Man or Tubby. And
That's
so
your
we actually,
brother. on the
Yeah.
video. I
Yes.
saw him. He is awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Yo
Yeah.
quiero
So
hablar
we
con él, okay? Voy a hablar con él. Did you learn any Spanish from him at all?
what happened was the adoption agency that he was adopted from, they talked to my parents, and again, there was not really any English and Spanish language programs here, and they said since my brothers were coming to the South, and they came out of a really the war was going on, their biological father had been killed, they were eating 3 times a week, and so they came out of a really bad situation. So the adoption agency, their advice was just to cut that life and start a new one. And believe it or not, they talk more country than me. When they try to order at Taco Bell, it's like, I want me one of them there Nachi Bell Grandes and a quesadilla. So I took Spanish in school and did very well, but they both passed it with a D.
Oh my.
So,
Okay. All right. But no, I'm half Cuban, half Irish. From Miami,
oh, really?
born in Miami, Florida. But mom had the Cuban side. That's primarily what I grew up
Okay.
with. So I have a lot of Spanish in my background. But yes, I speak broken Spanish as well.
Yeah.
The last
Yo
radio station
hablo español un poco.
the last radio station I was at down in Miami was half English, half Spanish, bilingual, and it worked out very well. It was fun.
Oh,
I could speak it enough to do that, but it hurts my
cool.
head if I speak Spanish completely because then I have to
Right.
because I still think in English and I have to translate to Spanish and then I have to think it in
Yeah.
Spanish and then put it back out my mouth. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
glad you speak some Spanish,
Yeah.
but your brothers
I
don't.
have Yeah, and I have a song right before all the COVID stuff started. I have a song that is English and Spanish, and a Spanish DJ was looking at it, and he was going to try to help me with some bands record it, but all this is hit, so that's kind of on hold. But I have a half English, half Spanish song right now that we're trying to get out to the Spanish world, but it's on hold right now.
Well, a lot of my listeners are still in Miami and New York. A lot of them are from that life that I was leading down there.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm sure they're very interested right now. They're perking up. Hopefully, they contact you and get to and follow you and get to know a little bit more about the Mala Peterson because Mala it means bad. I'm sure
I
you know that.
I know. No, you know, Disney did this whole thing of where they took the villain's children. Did you see this called The Descendants?
Yes.
And it's like Cruella, well, I can never say her name, Maleficent. Her daughter's named Mal, so they say I'm evil. They say I'm bad. They call me trouble. That makes me glad. So, yeah, so my Spanish friends, they always introduce me as Mala, and they go, Buena. So they call me bad good.
Well, that's cool. I love that song. I play it at almost every kid party that I do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a definite on the playlist. Got to play all the stuff from The Descendants.
Yeah.
It's a great Disney movie. So hey, catch that Disney movie, people.
Yeah.
All right, recommended by Mala Peterson,
Yes.
Patterson. Oh, that's twice. That's 2 times. I'm gonna 3 strikes. I'm out. No, no, Ma, but
But so anyway, my brother Tub and I,
yes.
we got contacted. Our first paying gig, we played, believe it or not, hold on, for the Alabama State Emu Bird Convention, like an emu oil. So we played and we got like $55 together. But we played plus our food. And sorry to all the vegetarians, but emu, it tastes great,
Yeah,
especially with teriyaki
and it all comes back to birds. I mean, you were told from an early age you had
sauce.
little
Oh
birdie
my God.
legs, and now you're eating the bird
Yeah.
for your first paying gig. And let me tell you, my first paying gig was a wedding back in 1986. I got $50. You know how much I rented the equipment for? $75. So so I lost a little bit of money, but I gained a lot of experience. So don't have $55. You're a paid
Yeah.
musician. What I mean, how
Yeah.
old were you then?
Uh, I think I was 16 or so, 15, 16, somewhere there. I I've got a great memory, and I never thought that. I mean, I was like just remembering everything. But once you play, a couple years ago, we played like 105 shows, like over just a few weeks. They just all start kind of running together. But I was a teenager. I was like 15, 16, something like that.
And is
And
Tubbs
then
older
when
or younger than
my brothers, they're both younger than me,
you?
but we're stair steps. But anyway, when I was 18, we decided to make a band together. Partridge Family was so much happier. It's a love hate thing. All bands are, but when it's your family, you know, there was. I'm embarrassed to say, but there was some like brother sister popping, slapping, a little rough housing going on there. It's like, what are you doing? That's the wrong key. No, it's not. Little push shove.
That's what brothers and sisters do. I mean,
I,
when I
yeah.
started fighting with my brother, my mom would kick me to the front yard and go fight outside. She wouldn't stop the fight. She would say, "Continue, get out there."
No, my mother, we joke her that she invented the Hunger Games before the Hunger Games because my brothers, they're like 10 months apart. They're really close. And so they were breaking couches by fighting. So the third couch they had to buy together. And mom also told them, she's like, out in the yard. And she goes, I want y'all to fight to the death. I want one death. And yeah, see, this is her pull yourself up by your bootstraps. She goes, I'm going to the grocery store. When I get home, I want one of you dead, and I kill the winner.
Two kids leave, one kid comes back.
She also told me, and she's like, I wish you wouldn't tell people I said that. I sound like such a horrible mother.
No,
When
she's a
Hey, now don't
wonderful
listen
mother.
to this. This is she says it's a joke. But when I started driving, she told me, don't wear a seatbelt. You'll drive more carefully.
Okay, the wisdom, it's out there. It's out there. I think that's almost Waterboy Mama wisdom.
Yeah.
My mama said the teeth
Yeah.
with the alligator.
She says it was a joke, but I was just like, but it did, looking back, like when you're learning how to drive, which I had driven in the yard, four wheelers and tractors and stuff like that. But there's just something different of when you're on the road. And I think I was nervous. And when she did that, I was like, what the heck? So it did calm things down, although it sounds like horrible advice. And it is horrible advice. Always wear your
it's
seatbelt.
it's terrible advice. Wear your seatbelt. But there's a pearl of wisdom in there somewhere. There is. Your mom had some ideas. Maybe not the
She
best
said,
ideas, but she had
I
ideas.
know.
No, I appreciate your mom. I like your mom. She's the best.
I do.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, and she helped to make you the person that you are today. But who got you the guitar when you were 15?
Okay, so it's funny how it rolls back to driving. I started out with not a very expensive guitar, like $150 or so. So I always tell people, it, if you want to learn to play guitar, if you want your child to learn, you don't have to go out and buy like a $2,000 guitar. Those guitars are wonderful, but that's out of a lot of people's budget. So, and we're so lucky because now for a little over $100, you can get a playable guitar. So you cannot use money as an excuse not to play. So I started off with a guitar like that, under $200, and then when I had got my braces off, and I was going to have my wisdom teeth cut out, and so mom comes to me and she's like, "You've got a decision to make." So she goes, do you want a vehicle or do you want a guitar? And so I don't know why I picked the guitar. And it was actually a guitar that was expensive as a vehicle. And so I'm glad I made that choice because it's really affected my life. But at the time, my friends and everybody else, are you crazy? You know, you picked a guitar over a vehicle, but playing the guitar allowed me to buy my own vehicle, you know. So it was a great choice at the time. I think everybody thought I was crazy, but she gave me that choice, and that's what I picked.
Oh my goodness, that is a fateful decision that you made. I mean, the Blues Brothers, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
When John Belushi gets out of jail, Jake Blues, the Dan Aykroyd was driving this old police car,
yeah,
and Jake Blues says, "Hey, what happened to the Bluesmobile? You know, the Cadillac. What happened?" And he says, "I traded it for a microphone." And Jake Blues he thinks about it for a second. He goes, yeah, I get that. He's totally plausible. You know, you invested in your future. You made
right,
a decision, a bet on yourself that this instrument was going to be important in your future.
right.
And you're
Yeah.
right.
Right. And my mother also, living here in Alabama, sports are just very, very prominent. There's not a lot of people who are interested in music right where I live, like I am. Um, it's really baseball is very popular. We've had several pro players live here in Hartselle, and football is really big. And I think it's great. I think you need to be physically active, but it's just everybody's involved in that. And so when I got up, you know, high school age, mom said, okay, you've got to make, she gave me another choice. And so she was like, are you going to participate? She goes, because, you know, they practice nearly every night. It's, you know, you can hardly even have a part time job because, you know, they practice so much here. And so she goes, you've got to make a choice. You can't do everything. And she said, "Do you want to like play ball and be a cheerleader, or would you like continue with music and dance?" And she said, "I'm going to let you decide what you want to do." And again, I don't know why I was like, "I want my dance and my music." And and that was looking back, that was really hard decision to make because I was friends with everybody in school, but the athletes and the cheerleaders, that was a whole different group. And I took myself out of that group by my music. But I'm so proud I did because, no offense, none of those kids are cheering or playing ball anymore. Although I think it's important to participate in sports and
Yeah, there's
everybody
that
to have a passion.
camaraderie. Sure. Yeah.
But for me, I'm still continuing my music and dance. And so many of them, they're not even involved in that anymore. So it was the right choice for me at that time. And it's, changed my whole life.
Mala Patterson, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what was that first car that you got for $100? You'd never forget your first car. What was it?
it was. It wasn't. I didn't pay $100 for my car, but I ended up. Oh my gosh. I My brothers called it the Shagmobile because it was a gold Astro minivan, so I could haul a gold Astro minivan,
Yeah.
the Shagmobile.
No, that is a fantastic. I had an Astro before, and that was a great vehicle for hauling my equipment around. That wasn't my first vehicle, but it was a cheap vehicle. It didn't last very long, but I'm very happy that I had it because it did haul my equipment around. Another piece of equipment that you had that was geared toward your
Yeah.
future, something that you could hold your equipment in, and the
Right.
band's
And
equipment.
yeah. Yeah. And it didn't even have a CD player. It had a cassette player in it. And do you remember those kits you could buy? They still may make them to where you put a cassette in and it hooks to a CD player.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I
shoot,
had one of
I think I
those.
had one of those in the '80s. You know, I graduated in 1986, so that tells you about how old I am. I'm 51 years old, and so back then we did have a CD deck, but and no, we had the CD players were brand new. Really, they were very expensive. They had one laser. From what I understand, you have multiple lasers in the CD players now, so you would put it in the middle of your, on the seat next to you, and run that cord into a CD, a cassette uh,
Yep.
adapter, and then if you hit a bump, that CD is skipping, skip, skip, remix. So yeah, there was a lot of that. But you
Yep.
you, you had that in your first car, in your shaggin'
Mhm.
wagon.
It was a lot later than that. '80s when I had that too.
Yeah, see, you're a
that makes
whippersnapper. You're much younger than
that
I
makes it
am.
even funnier. That yeah, mine was a lot later.
Hey, I'm not that old. I'm not too old for this. No. But okay, so but did you have were you the band vehicle? Were you the ones that was driving the people around when you had to do
oh,
gigs
oh,
back then?
of course. And so Tubman, and we have a brother between us who actually played. And so we quickly moved up. We went like through motor homes, but we did the van a while. Then we moved up to a bigger van that had, we called that the nightclub because it had light. It was one of those, it had like the extended roof on it. One time,
Custom.
another, we actually hired a fourth member to come in and play with us. He got it like stuck in a parking deck because he forgot about I don't know what they call it, like the buffalo
The
hump.
custom, yeah, yeah. Roof.
Yeah, we had like track lighting all inside. I mean, yeah, it almost looked like a limousine on the inside, a big van on the outside. But so
That's what
we
I'm
went from
talking about.
the gold van, the shagmobile, to the nightclub, and then we went up in different size motorhomes. We had like a diesel pusher that was like almost a bus, and I learned how to drive that sucker. And St. Louis, Missouri, all those I drove all over the country, and I'm proud to say I have my CDL license with passenger endorsement.
That's fantastic. She could
So
be a
if you want to go
trucker.
on the road, I can drive us around in a
That
bus.
no, that is amazing. See, you got the skills to pay the bills. But
But
okay, so you had a band with your brothers.
yes, yes.
Oh, and the vehicles, the way that they're styled, I think they're Latino. Their Latino heritage kind of slipped in there with the little shags and the lights and stuff.
Yeah.
I know my one of my first cars. I had a Mustang hatchback, and it had
Uh,
bass lines all over the windows and speakers all over the hatchback. You couldn't even sit in my car. There was so many speakers in there, and the oh yeah, the Latin heritage. I think it was in there somewhere. It's in the
but
blood.
it's funny. I will tell you a term they use for themselves, which I think you can use for yourself too, because you said you're Cuban and Irish, right?
Mhm.
So they picked up from my mother, my grandmother. She was a Blaylock before she married, but so my brothers took on the Irish heritage, so they call themselves Latin leprechauns.
I can dig it. I have a kilt. It's an Irish national kilt. And I've had it for many, many years since 2000, I think. And yeah, it's a yeah. That's I could see that. Latin
Yeah,
leprechaun.
I'll tell you, there's something funny that I noticed about you. How dress that my brothers get in trouble for from their Latin friends. That they wear an undershirt always, and a lot of times, I like how you've got, I like how you've got the white stripe and the white undershirt, and they take pride if they're wearing like a red and green little plaid shirt. They'll try to wear like, red or green to match. And so a Latin guy came up to him and shamed them and said, Latin men do not wear undershirts. They're going, we're hot blooded. You have to show the chest and all this. And my brothers were going, we wear undershirts, but they were shamed about wearing an undershirt by a Latin man. He said, you gotta let your chest breathe.
Yeah, but on the other side, if you're a bigger guy like me, you sweat a little
uh,
bit, so you have to have something to catch that. I know that's
that's
a
what
little
my
bit
brothers
disgusting.
say.
Okay, all right. So Tubbs is playing. He's playing the washboard bass. What's your other
Right.
brother? Give credit where credit is due. What's he
Yes.
playing? What and who is he?
He he was playing. His name is Mac, MAC. That's my name. Mala is from Malcolm, and so he's actually Malcolm, but he goes by Mac. And so he picked up a
Wait.
mandolin.
There's two kids named Malcolm,
Right. My my name Mala is from Malcolm.
but
Our dad's
is
Malcolm.
that your full name, Mala?
Mala. That's all I have. Four
Okay,
letters.
okay.
Mal. And so Mac's name is Mac. So he goes by Mac. So anyway, Matt has this big booming bass voice. Although he says he's 5'4", I really think he's 5'2", but he has this big bass voice. And we told him, At the time, I was playing guitar. Tubby had decided to play upright bass. And so we're like, and we're going, okay, mandolin or fiddle? And he goes, mandolin? That's your instrument. And so for years, I stood between my brothers. Tubby was on my right side, Mac was on my left. And a bass, when you're playing traditional music, it plays like 1 and 3. So it's booming over here and it's low. And then a mandolin plays 2 and 4. So it was boom, cheek, boom, cheek, boom, cheek. And if Mac ever got on the wrong beat, Tubby, we'd be up there playing, show for thousands of people. And Tub would say, tell your brother to get off my beat. I would say, he was your brother first. But but so it was boom, cheek, boom, cheek. I cannot believe I'm crazier than I am. But so we had the same lineup and we played years and years and years. And then they really got tired of being out on the road. So
Okay, so if he's playing bass and the other one's playing mandolin, what are you playing at this point?
I was playing guitar and a little bit of fiddle.
And a little bit of fiddle. That's man, Mama Patterson's got to be so elated that she made a band. She
Yes,
has
yeah.
her whole family became a band. And what about Papa? Is Papa Patterson? Where's he at?
Um, Pop at that time, he was just working. He's a homebody, and we actually haven't seen him in many, many years. He has a lot of issues, and I love him and I wish him well, but he hasn't been in our life in a long, long
I got one of those myself. I got his name, and that's about it.
yeah.
and
Yeah,
I,
and well, that's how his name is Malcolm, so that's how I'm Mala, and we got the name, and that's it. He did teach us to be hard workers, and everybody has their good and bad qualities, but he taught us to be good workers, and he gave us our name, and so I wish him well, and I hope he's well. Like I said, we haven't spoken in many, many years.
well, all right. That's an American family.
Yeah.
There's many different types of families, but you
Yeah.
but you got Mama that's been guiding you
Yes.
through all these years. That's fantastic. And so when you started at 15 with the band, what was the name of the band?
Blue Persuasion.
Okay, when I was looking your name up, Blue Persuasion did come up, and I was trying to figure out what is Blue Persuasion. I went, oh, okay, and so there must be some recordings from that. I don't think I delved into it because I didn't think that was you.
Right. Um, there's the reason why we picked the name Blue Persuasion is we really love like bluegrass music, and we were at that time we did not have like a drummer or anything, so we were like a acoustic group, and we had our main staple was banjo, guitar, bass, and mandolin. But we played all genres of music. We played meditations, we played a little bit of everything, a lot of acoustic country. And so we were not straight up bluegrass, but we kind of had a blue tinge to that. And my brother Tubby just loves it so much. He loved Dr. Ralph Stanley and Ricky Skaggs. And the, other than being tired of being on the road, this was several years ago. And unfortunately, like bluegrass and acoustic, they were not very welcoming at that time to people of color. And my brothers are very dark skinned. And so we had a lot of fans and they were really good. But we had a few instances where we had some really negative people that said some really horrible things. And so it really, and it hurt me so bad because we're about to walk on the stage for to play for 2,000 people, and the promoter comes up to you and says, gosh, your brothers are a lot darker in person than they looked in their picture. And you're like, and then we would go and get a standing we get a standing ovation, and like the promoters would just be like, well, we just don't know if we're going to get y'all back. We're like, no, thank you, So I really think if they had stuck with it a little bit longer, we were really breaking down some barriers and doing well. But they just got to a point, and I can't blame them because it would just crush me. We'd be about to walk on stage, and then you would have to deal with that, and that's the last thing you need trying to play a show and being out on the road. And again, that was a very small percentage, and I think that my brothers let a small percentage make this factor into them not playing professionally anymore.
Oh, it's
But
hard.
then I totally understand why
Yeah.
they did. You know, they took a lot of abuse out on the road that they shouldn't have had to put up with. But I hate that they quit, but I totally understand why they did, and I'm glad they made that choice for their well being. But I hate that they're not using their talent because
Yeah.
it's a different world now.
Oh my goodness, but it's got to be hard. Hard, especially when you're so young and you got
Yeah,
so many other pressures in the world anyway. Get a good education. Find a mate. Procreate. There's other things that are get a job. Maybe not in that order, but
yeah,
find a career. And then people
yeah.
are saying poking at you, poking holes through your life choices. And my goodness, I hate that
Yeah.
that happened to them. I'm hoping. What are they doing these days? You can brag on your
Um,
brothers.
but both of them are married. They both married red-headed women. and and so, do you have a red-headed special person in your
I
life?
do.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That must be the Latin leprechaun. I go for the redhead. And so, I have two redheaded sister-in-laws with blue eyes, and Tubby. We joke and say he has Tibet. He has a little. He has a little girl that's going to be 6, and a son that is brand new, still has a new baby smell. He's like a year old.
Mazel
And
tov.
Tub works construction. He works really, really hard, works every day. And then Mac has 2 sons, and they're 10 and 8. The 10-year-old is he is almost tall as Mac, and the 8-year-old is little bitty. They're like Levi, the 10-year-old's off the chart for height and weight, and poor Gunner is the third percentile. So he's got the smallest son and the biggest son. Everybody's all the time going, how are they brothers? I'm like, we have a gorilla and a spider monkey, okay? And
Genetics.
so
They're gonna do
Matt,
just
Matt,
fine.
Matt, yeah. So beautiful people come in all shapes and sizes and colors. And so anyway, so he's got the big son and the little son, and he also works construction too, but they work for 2 different firms.
Man, that's amazing. Okay, then they both ended up in construction. The way you described them, it's kind of right. They're smaller versions of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Yeah,
So I get it. Yeah. So and then are you taller than they are?
I am, and they hate it. I'm about 5'8", and so I did pander to them a little bit. Like when we would have band pictures, they would try to find a hole for me to stand in, or they they would make me wear flats, or they're like, "Why don't you sit down?" Or it's always so. They always say they go, "We would not look so short if you weren't so tall." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't look so pale if I wasn't so tan." So
Oh,
yes, I am taller than both of them, and that's a little bone of contention.
oh my goodness! But well, I wish Blue Persuasion was still going. What a fantastic brother sister band, a family band. Oh, it's
And hey,
beautiful.
we may have a reunion tour yet. Who knows?
Yes, yes. Are they still playing it all? Do they at least play in their front yards or something, or maybe the
not
reunions?
not really much. They stay so busy. They're really good fathers and husbands, and so they stay really really busy with stuff. Every once in a while, we'll come over and I'll be playing and stuff. So, Tubby was like he's picked up electric bass too, and he was like, let me have that bass. And I just kind of took a breath because I was like, gosh, he hadn't played in forever. And magic. He was one of those. I had to put in time to be able to play. He was like a prodigy. He picked up a bass and could play with the radio the first time. Just a total God given, out of this world gift. I had to put in, the tipping point, 10,000 hours. There's a book. If you do anything for 10,000 hours, you get good at it. Okay, you're looking at 10,000 hours here. um, Mom says that's not true. She said I had some natural ability, but I'm a firm believer if you work at anything, you set your mind to it, you can eventually learn it, even if it takes you a million hours. But Tub didn't have to have the 10,000 hours. We just picked up that bass and could play unreal.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad that they still live close. I'm guessing they live.
Yes, they do. We actually, Mom and I, we live outside city limits, but Mac lives in our little town, Hartselle, about 10,000 people. He lives like in the center. We live out in the county. And then Tub lives about 15 minutes south of us. But we
Oh,
all live in the same area.
so lots of family reunions. You still get together. That's fantastic. It's good to have
Love to
family close.
eat, love to eat.
Oh, me too. I eat too much. I got to get out of this chair and go exercise. But no, but you, all right. So you went further after Blue Persuasion
Yeah.
gets done. I mean, how far do you go in school? Did you have a backup plan, or did you say, well, how did that go?
Well, um, Mom again gave us all a choice. She said, "I believe y'all all need to go to college, but I'm not going to force you." So I went little bit by little bit, and I finished. Believe it or not, I'm actually tougher than I look, smarter than I sound. I have an English degree and a music minor, and then I also went back to school and I have an accounting degree as well.
She's got some
But
brains.
believe it or not. But we did finish up homeschooling so we could travel the last few years of high school. So that's how we finished up. My brothers at the time did not want to go to college. Mom tried to like, but get a welding trade, get a mechanic, do something like that, and they were both totally against it at the time. So she said, "It's your choice." And so what Tubbs actually enrolled in college on the A honor roll, and so he's went back, and they both kind of regret not going. But it was tough having to take those books with me. And a lot of times I can remember like one night we had played during the day, and they all went out putt golfing, and I'm in the room studying, so
Yeah, but this is how you get far. You either have to, get some smarts, or you have to be strong. And it looks like they're hard workers,
that's
and they're
exactly
making a
right.
living. They're taking care of their families. So you work hard. You can think hard or you can work hard, and they've chosen that path. Hey, I commend that. I commend that too. And construction, that's a job that's not going to go out of style. People need stuff
Right,
built all the time. That's fantastic. All right, so you got your smarts, so you didn't have to sweat that hard, I guess. But I'm sure it's still there's still some sweat to it. But where did you go with that degree? Is that where the teaching came in, or did you go anyplace else besides music with those degrees?
well, I ended up. I wrote for a magazine here in Alabama called Bama Grass, and the year that I wrote for it, it won an award, and it just jumped up. And so I've used my degree for that, but I really used it more for songwriting. And I honestly did not want to get an English degree and a music minor. What happened was I had taken a bunch of classes, and I don't know if other people have had this experience, but your guidance counselor says, "Take this." Well, then they end up deleting that class, and then, oh, that's an elective now. So what happened was after I had went about a year and a half, I just like wrote down. I got my transcript of what I had taken so far, and I sent it out like to all the major schools in Alabama. I was like, what can I get with what I've taken so far? And so one school got back. It was crazy. A teacher I'd had in high school, I did not even know she was working. She was working at admissions in a college. Because my name is so unusual, Mala Patterson, she like sent me a letter and she goes, "I've got you two plans." And I'm like, "Okay." But first off, I was like, "Miss T, what the heck?" Because she had moved like hours south of us. And she said, "I know you're traveling and on the road." And she said, we've got a program where you meet with a mentor and you have to turn in projects and stuff." And she goes, "I think you should be an English major." She was actually my English teacher in high school. She goes, "I think you should be an English major, have a music minor." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." It was one of those, I had never really thought about that being a major, but that's what I ended up, the classes I had, and with her guidance, that's what I ended up finishing with. And so I ended up teaching 50 something students. I actually taught at a music store. I was really glad that I did the music store teaching instead of through the school system because no offense, our teachers have such a hard job because they have to teach kids, but they have to follow that box, the standardized teaching and we have to have standards, but those standards just don't work for everyone. So I have students that are blind, students that have autism, students that have physical limitations and mental limitations, and so I can tweak it. I know out of my home, and I have a day job where I do sweat a lot, and it's crazy. I work for the United States Postal Service.
There's a job that will never go out of style as well. But I know that they're complaining a little bit that they're losing money because of email. But yeah, tell me about that. I mean,
Oh,
is it about to go
oh,
bankrupt?
well, this what I'm seeing in my office, so it's different everywhere. Mail has went down. Like when I say mail, like letters and bills, because it's funny. Although it's the post office, they encourage us to use automatic with our paychecks. So, because I was like thinking, they'll mail your check, but they're like, we prefer you to have it, direct deposit. I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, mail volume has went down, but especially during COVID, magazines have shot up and catalogs and like boxes. Oh my gosh, a little bitty post office will get hundreds, if not thousands, of boxes a day. So one area's went down, but another area's exploded.
So you're not a carrier then. You work in an office.
I have carried parcels when they need it, but I unload the trucks.
Yeah, you do.
um, oh well, they have a little lift that comes down, and then I have to drag all that stuff in. But I sort the mail, and I help the carriers get ready. Then I wait on customers. I have excellent customer service, and then when they come back in, I sort their mail and do stuff. But and a lot of the areas that I work in, it's so sad. This is just something to me that opened my eyes. I did not realize how many people in rural America have a hard time reading and writing. And so I've been lucky. I've been put in small areas where, I have to help people with their bills and fill out things. And, I always tell them, I go, I cannot be responsible as a postal worker filling this stuff out. But this is just me helping you I said, because I can't, because I always say, you've got to look and make sure that I fill this out right. And some of them make I can't read. I don't know if you did or not. And I said, well, what you've told me this, but I said, post office not responsible. This is Mala filling it out. I'm doing it to the best of my knowledge. But it just breaks my heart that there's just so many people that, have somehow fallen through the cracks and really struggle with reading and writing in America today.
Yeah, that says a lot about you. But you'd be surprised. My goodness, people that have graduated high school still can't read. How do they get through the cracks? How do they fall through? And you being
I
a
don't,
teacher, you have to feel that more than most.
it just breaks my heart. My grandmother passed away when I was 16, and she encouraged me with my music. She grew up in rural Alabama. She picked cotton in the fields. She worked just like a man, and she only really had like a second grade education. And so she had my mother when she was about 40. And when my mother learned how to read, my grandmother learned how to read with her. And so some people in the family are very embarrassed about that. And I think it's awesome that she learned how to read in her 40s, but she just didn't have an opportunity. She had to work really hard to survive. And so she really encouraged, that's why she was an encourager. She encouraged my music, and she always encouraged me in school. And she always donated money to our school library and bought books and stuff. And so like I just don't, that was really hard. And some of my aunts and uncles are like, don't tell people that. They don't like to discuss that. And I said, I think it's something important that people need to know, that you can learn. It's never too late to learn how to read or learn something like that.
Absolutely correct. You're giving pearls of wisdom, Mala Patterson. Absolutely. And okay, so you got the English degree from your English teacher. I'm sure she was very biased. Hey, because my mom was a nurse, and
Uh-huh.
every time somebody said, "I don't know what to do when I'm growing up," be a nurse. You should be a nurse. So you had this English teacher that said, "Be an English major." Yes, of course, of
Right.
course. What other advice is she going to give? She's going to have you try to follow in her footsteps, and it definitely worked out. So when did you start writing music?
I actually started writing poems when I was 7 years old.
What were those
And
first
so
poems like?
it was about a, I'm trying to remember if it was, we moved when I was about 10. So I'm so upset I lost all my paper dolls and I lost, oh, I had, that first poem was about a bird. Oh my gosh, we're back to birds. But
It's a
it was
through
about,
line.
I had a book or a card or a postcard or something that had a bird on it. And so I wrote this poem about the bird. I remember a line was like, has a penny sharp head. I thought the bird had like, his head was the size of a penny, but it was sharp on top. I thought I was so cool. But then I moved on. Um, my grandmother allowed us to watch. She did not know anything about horror movies or anything, so she let us watch like Freddy Krueger and stuff. And so then I wrote a song when I was about 9 or 10. This is so crazy. I had an empty Tic Tac box, and it blew this weird pitch, and so I wrote this song around this blowing in this Tic Tac box with this weird pitch, and it was about Freddy Krueger. But maybe it's good. I lost all those first songs, but I remember I wrote a poem about a bird, then I wrote a song, slightly probably a rap song, the Tic Tac box about Freddy Krueger.
It's amazing, Mala Patterson, where you're going to get inspiration. And I'm jealous, that you can have things in your noggin, you put them down on paper, and they become poetry. And then
Yeah.
soon after, you can make them into songs. When did the poetry become songwriting?
Really, I started playing guitar because I learned about chords. Because piano, I was so worried about following that sheet music. When I learned to play guitar, it was about chords and singing. So it kind of opened me up for writing. And so I can remember I wrote uh, a lot of my first songs. This is so funny. You're bringing up memories I didn't even know I even had. A lot of times I would watch Baywatch reruns. I would write songs. I don't know, but David Hasselhoff inspired me.
Don't
maybe
hassle
that's
the
why.
Hoff. Mm.
Maybe that's why I don't write a lot of love songs.
No, but did any of those early poems before you were 15 and got the guitar, did they ever get repurposed into song?
Some of them have, and moving as an adult, there's a whole. Mom ended up having other day. She found a notebook, and I was my notebook. It had a horse on it, and I was like, where'd that come from? So we actually took some old stuff, and I have repurposed. I haven't got any of it recorded, but I found some of it, and that was fun. And it's sometimes sickening to see things and you're like, I thought that was so good and it's a steamy pile you know what? And you're like embarrassed. You're like, oh my gosh. And then other times you're like, wow, that was pretty insightful to be 17 or whatever. So it's inspiring and heartbreaking at the same time when I see those old songs. I love some of them. Some of them I was like, what was I thinking? When you look back at those school pictures, I was a real big fan of the one side ponytail. And I'm like going, I tell my mom, I go, do you not love me enough to tell me to take the ponytail down from my picture? And so again, she let me choose. She goes, I'll let you choose how you wanted to wear your hair. And so anyway, so looking back at those old songs, it's like, oh my goodness.
No, but all you can do, as the gardener of your songs, is plant those
Yeah.
seeds and water them and see what's going to cultivate.
Yeah.
What's going to come out. And you
And
have some songs that have been recorded and made. Go ahead.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, I'm going to move just 1 second and hook my phone up to a phone charger. I charged it up. I'll be right back.
No, I'm
I
getting to
charged it up.
see a little bit of your log cabin, the log cabin that
Yes,
Mala
yes.
Patterson lives in. It's fantastic. She's just a
Hold
small
on.
town girl.
Oopsie daisy.
Now, for
Hold on.
anybody watching the video version of this is going to have some fun. Shaky cam.
Sorry. I'm coming back. If I can get. Hold on, my Skype's all vanished. Hold
I still
on.
see you. Although you look like what is it, Kilroy, where you're just above the line, almost there.
Okay. Let me see what's happened to my phone. Hold on. Ah.
You know what's funny? You'll probably turn
I'm
it sideways this time, and it'll work.
I don't know how. I'm trying to get it steady. What's going on with it? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm usually not so technically challenged.
No apologies needed. I don't edit anything.
Oh no. Great. Great. They're gonna be like worst camera. I'm gonna get an award for worst cameraman.
All right, almost centered. Almost centered.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Almost
Okay.
centered. Nope, she's very short now.
I need to drop that a little bit more, don't I?
Yes, you do.
I'm sorry, the lighting's not very good.
No, it's fine. Now I'm looking at what is it? Dream catchers behind you, or some kind of cuckoo clock?
That is like my jewelry. I hang on my necklaces and stuff up. It's a
Look at
jewelry thing
you.
behind
You are Southern. She is a Southern belle there in Alabama.
me.
Small town girl.
uh, it's still maybe a little dark. Sorry,
No,
I'm
it's
trying to
fine.
put.
No, you look all right. Tell me about the pieces above you.
Uh, I've got actually a little harmonica necklace. That's one of my things I want to learn how to play harmonica. I always loved Blues Traveler, but it's a little harmonica necklace. And then I'm a little bit into crystal therapy. So I've got a piece of rose quartz. So I've just got a bunch. And actually, a lot of my jewelry, I've been really blessed. I've had fans that bring me different things that they find and think I would like. So a lot of my jewelry is actually been gifts, so that's very nice of them.
That is pretty cool. There was a medium down in the Florida Keys that I knew. Oh my goodness, Nina. I remember Nina Locardi, and if I ever could find her again, but she would find me every year on my birthday. And one year she gave me a crystal, and I'm not
Oh,
sure. I'm not sure if what it did for me, but I kept the crystal. I think I still have it behind me in the drawer here, and yeah, I'm interested. I'm kind of fascinated by the crystal therapy. What is it? What has it done for you? What do you feel?
well, the pink one is a very. I've heard different things about it. The pink one is supposed to help with keeping an open mind and an open heart, even when you've been through tough spots. And then the rose quartz, supposedly, when you wear it in hot weather, it keeps you from gaining weight. And when you don't need it anymore, you lose it. And so this one I've got when I'm trying to hold on to it because I never lose anything and I keep losing rose quartz. One day I had a piece in my pocket and I was in a restroom and when I was finished, let's say it like that, I stood up and my rose quartz just flew out of my pocket and went into that public restroom commode and I was like, it's going. I'm not gonna that's done. there's not
Gone.
enough there's not enough bleach in the world for that. It's done.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. See, I'm learning so much about you, Mala Patterson. You got stories. After you get out of Blue Persuasion, you got the guitar. You're starting to write songs. How many of those songs actually came to fruition and are out there so people can listen to them?
Somebody was asking about how many songs I had written. Actually, there's a bunch. I actually had one used by wagon train, dog snacks. You probably saw that one. So I've had a jingle. I've had a song picked up that was used by CMT on a TV show, and so I've had a lot of single song publishing deals, which is to not get into all of that tonight, but just to know like a company will want one song, and so some of that takes so long. They may have a song 5 years before they do anything with it. So I've got a Moonshiner song right now that it's almost been on the Moonshiner song with different artists several times. And so it's actually coming back to me now, and I'm going to try to push it another time. So, songwriting, what's so bad about songwriting is you spend this time creating this, and it takes longer to get it out there than it does to create it. It's crazy. Sometimes you may get really lucky. Still, I'm sorry.
No, that was
um,
yeah, that was definitely another avenue I wanted to explore. You're not
yeah,
only a singer, songwriter, dancer, multi talented musician, but you also are aspiring to be in jingles, an actress of sorts. I see you in a commercial. This is 7 years ago, going back with
yeah,
what's the Kathy Larson agency that you did
yeah.
a little thing with
I
them.
yeah, I actually was in a Title Max commercial for Christmas. So when I was going to college and playing in the band with my brothers, I did every kind of odd job available. I did a lot of um, promotional modeling where I gave out the hardest job I had with promo. Uh, I had to think fast with my feet. I was down in Birmingham, Alabama, and Slim Fast had hired me. They had just came out with like their bars, like their energy bars, and so I was supposed to hand these to people without offending them, and they gave me no script at all. So I'm wearing my little white Slim Fast. It's a white T-shirt with red Slim Fast and my khaki shorts and my white tennis shoes because they didn't let you wear cowboy boots. So I've got my little promo modeling outfit on and a box of Slim Fast bars that I've got to give out to concert goers and leave them with a good feeling about Slim Fast. And so anyway, so I started out and I said, "Hey, would you like a little snack?" And people go, "Slim Fast? Do you think I need that?" So I was like, "Hey," I said, "to keep your great shape, would you like a little Slim Fast bar?" So that worked really good. But so I worked
I can see where
concert.
that could have gone horribly wrong.
Oh,
Here,
I
fatty, have
know.
a Slim Fast.
And I've had to like give out shampoo samples and deodorant. You think I stink? And so, all kinds of stuff like that. But so, fishing tournaments, uh, fishing tournaments was fun. I got to pass out frozen Snicker bars. That was fun. uh, Fishing tournaments. I also worked college football games. I've never got to go inside to the stadium, but I worked college football games on the outside, NASCAR races, all kinds of stuff. Giving out coupons and samples and doing different things. So I had so I did all kinds of odd jobs. I did, some modeling for my brother. One of them, Tubby, was being real snarky to me one day, and he goes, "It's not like you're in Vogue or anything." And like the next month, I had did a photo shoot, and they really bragged on the other two girls, and me, they were just like, "Change your hair, change your makeup." "Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am." I just, whatever they said, I was doing it. And it was just, it's one of those, by the end of it, you're like, I'm glad it's over. But when it came down to it, I followed the directions and I ended up getting the ad in Vogue knitting. So
Yeah, you
I told my
did.
brother, I said, "It's Vogue. It's their knitting magazine," but I was in it. So anyway, I worked all kinds of odd jobs, worked for a construction company. I'm trying to think what all else I did, but I just did anything to support myself so I could still play in the band and then, go to school part time.
Yeah, you're a hustler. When you're a creator, you got to find different ways to
Right.
support your creativity, to
Right.
support your music addict. You're addicted to music, so
Yeah.
you got to
My
support that
passion.
habit. And thankfully, you do have a day job that gives you insurance, and that's what a
Right.
lot of creators don't have. A lot of musicians, starving artists, that they
Right.
don't have the insurance, and thankfully you do have one of those that helps you
Right.
to do your night job, your creative, your passion. So
Right.
you've yeah, go
And
ahead.
sometimes, it's just your perspective. Sometimes I'm like, "Man, I wish I didn't have that day job and I could do this and I could do that." But then on the other hand, I see some of my friends that are just completely starving musicians, and a lot of times they end up, y'all, before you ever sign a contract for everything, make sure you find a good lawyer to look over. I've got friends that have signed some horrible deals because they just felt like, this is my one shot, and they didn't have any options. And they end up signing contracts that instead of enhancing their career, they basically just shut them down. And so I feel, and a lot of times they get themselves into, whether it's business wise or also some little kind of sketchy personal stuff, that if they had a day job, they may not feel so inclined to jump on everything. And so I really am lucky that I pray for guidance to pick things that are going to help my career and help other people. And so I feel like my day job allows me to try to pick and choose and be a little bit more selective and do things that I feel like that are just going to, enhance my career, not just make that, you know, make my rent money or make my grocery money. And so, it's a double edged sword. I've got a little bit more stability that sometimes, but then, sometimes I'm like, oh, well, that prevents me from getting myself in a mess. And I'm just, I'm so thankful to have my job right now in COVID because I'm an essential worker. And so I was talking to some of my friends, and like all their shows canceled for the whole year, and they're a full time musician. So some of them, they've had to completely move back. They're so lucky they've got family that's allowed them to, they've had to uproot themselves from Nashville and different places and just move back home because they don't have a day job. So
No, you're giving words of wisdom, Mala Patterson. That have something to back up, as
yeah,
a backup. And but yeah, some people bet on themselves and chuck everything and become musicians. And now that we're living in this time of quarantine, yeah,
yeah,
all of my DJ gigs got canceled. Thankfully,
yeah,
for the past 4 weeks, they're back. I'm starting to get back. I have my Friday night show. But and I have a day job too that gives me the insurance as well.
right.
So I'm very happy to have that, and I'm
yeah.
very happy to have this.
Thankful.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, all right, Mala Patterson, I know that we've talked a lot and we've learned a lot about you. I don't want to keep you like all night
Oh,
long. I could definitely go hours and hours and hours. I know you have stories to tell, but since you started writing those songs, and I guess now tell the people how to get a hold of you and get a hold of those songs, and then we can continue a
yeah,
little bit about what kind of gigs you've been doing up till
right.
now.
Right. Well, check me out on Facebook. You can find me Mala Patterson, MalaPatterson. And I have the last little bit been, I've been in a duo called Honeysuckle Blue. My nephew says, does Blue have to be in all your band names? And I go, I didn't even realize that. That's an old Driving and Crying song, Honeysuckle Blue.
Yeah.
And so I just heard them, and I'm like, that would be a cool band name. And so I do have the trademark on it. So it's going through some changes right now. I'm not really for sure. We were before COVID, we were starting a CD, we were doing some stuff, but COVID's kind of gave us some time to reflect. So I'm not for sure the direction we're going to go, but I'm still writing a lot of music. And so you can find me Honeysuckle Blue Music and Mala Patterson. My email's on there, phone number, and all that stuff.
Okay,
And
and
just let me know.
I found your YouTube. Mala Patterson was pretty easy to find. It's a
Right,
very distinctive name,
right,
and then I found your Reverb Nation. I'll definitely put that in the show
right,
notes. But then when I looked up your name on Instagram, I did find the Honeysuckle Blue
right,
Music. You and Ashley Rose are
right.
on that. Is that a band that's still going? I know that you had a gig June 13th
Yeah,
at the Goat Island.
we
Tell me about
yeah,
that.
Goat Island Brewery. Yeah, we played that. We have been working as a duo, but then we can add a drummer and a bass player, and so that was one of those things. I really say, I tell everybody, I hate when people say practice makes perfect. It doesn't. Practice makes you able to make a mistake to be confident to roll on. And so we've been practicing despite most shows getting we've played two shows since everything happened. We played one for the city of Huntsville as an outside show. We played Goat Island, but we were called on Wednesday, and they're like, "Can you play a show Saturday night with a full band?" And the drummer and the bass player actually had never met them. I had played one song with the drummer, and so I told him, I said, we're going to do three original songs. We have like to do three sets. And I said, I'm going to pick really strong covers. We did like Last Dance with Mary Jane and Copperhead Road. We did really popular, classic covers. Sweet Home Alabama. I said, I'm going to pick songs in the original keys. And I mean, we hit the stage and it went really, really, really good. But we've been keeping up our practicing. It's the same thing, I guess, like with your DJ. You kind of have like, I would assume you have things, you're all the time, you've got to be ready. You've got to be prepared and ready to go in a split second. You can't be sitting there, I wonder what song.
No, I've
You
been
kind
called
of,
on a
you got to
Friday
have,
morning. Can you be at a wedding tonight? Yeah, no problem. Done.
yeah. So
I'm there.
that's why we try to stay practiced up, and we have like 70 songs, which some bands have like over 200, but we have like 70 songs that were like you know different genres. We have some, if we get called and they want more of a traditional folkies show, we can do that. If they want more of a rock, we do a lot of Joan Jett and do kind of that stuff. We can kind of tailor it. So we're just trying to figure out the direction that we want to go right now. And then also too, I love music. It's my passion, and having bands it's so hard because some people want a life outside of it, and it's my life. So you always struggle with that, finding band members and people that like if somebody's like, "Hey, tomorrow can you go play?" I'll be like, "What time?" I can rearrange stuff, But sometimes when people have, I'm currently single, and so when people have spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends, that sometimes is really, really, really hard to do. So
It's
I
what
just
broke
have
up
my
the Beatles, right?
yeah. I just have a Boston Terrier from the pound right now, so he's my fur baby. But so
No, it takes a
anyway,
certain kind of person to chuck it all and go on tour. You're gonna leave your family. You're gonna sacrifice things to be a working musician, a touring musician. I mean, there's some musicians that do all covers, and they end up being pretty good party bands. But then
yeah,
there's some musicians that want to have their music, like yourself, that want to have their music as inspiration to others, and that takes a lot of sacrifice.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And one cool thing about my songs that just it blows me away every time. I'll write my song and I know what it means to me. And the coolest thing that happens is you'll have somebody come up to a show and they're like, I love this song because, and they'll quote back the lines and they'll say, because this means this to me. And it's nothing of the original intent, but to know somebody can take something that you created and it means something to them in a totally different context. I didn't even get chills just thinking about it.
Yeah,
That's like the best feeling to know that you created something that touches somebody else.
man,
And,
that
and
is
it helps them. One of the thing that made me feel so good was a lady who told me she had lost her husband, and that one song she listened to, and it would make her cry because she would think of it, but it was happy times, and the song was nothing about dying for me at all, but that's what it meant to her. It was good memories of her husband, so that made me feel really, really good.
no, I'm glad as an artist you have that ability to empathize with them. Because if say a painter draws a painting of a forest, oh, that forest, it kind of reminds me of my brother. It is not your brother. It is a forest down my house. No, you let the people take
Right,
ownership of your music
right,
and make them, whatever feeling comes to them. That's the feeling was supposed to be for
right.
them. That's the experience. Communal. So
Yeah.
beautiful.
And people always ask me, what's your favorite song you've written? And I said, well, I said, it's I said, when you write your songs, I said, I kind of look at them like as children, although I don't have any of my own yet. But I'm going to have one day or I'm going to adopt one. But so that's all down the road. But anyway, I said, you create it and then you kind of got to let it go and have its own life. And I always say that I like whatever my newest song is. That's what you're most excited about. And being the oldest child, I'm like, no, I finally understand parents liking the babies. They're most excited about the newest kid. So your songs, you're always like the latest one. I guess the old songs, you're like thinking they've disappointed you. They have not done what you thought they would do, but there's still hope in new song. So I'm like, it's just like, yeah, the baby of the family. I'm still hyped about that new song.
All right, Mala Patterson, you put a whole new spin on your music, and I've heard it, to where that's your children put out there. You can't like one child more than the others, but yes, you always like one child more than the others.
Yeah.
I know that I was my grandma's favorite. My brother was my mom's favorite, so I know you like that kid so much better. So, but yes, the one that's the newest, that's the one that you're watering, and going back to that analogy, you're trying to make that one grow, come to fruition. So fantastic. I mean, you're playing gigs with the honeysuckle blue, at least.
Right.
And how long has that band been been together?
Um, I was trying to remember how long we've had our trademark. We played off and on together. She actually came to me as she did for fiddle lessons, and so she took fiddle lessons for a while, and we ended up it went into different instruments, and then I had booked a show, and the person that was going to play with me bailed out at the last minute, and they were like, "Have you thought about getting Ashley to play it with you?" And I was like, "No, but that's an awesome idea." So again, that was like a bad experience because I was like going, what am I going to do? My person bailed on me, but it allowed me to play with her. And so we've played off and on the last several years together, but we've only had, I guess, the last 2 years. I've had the trademark maybe a year on the name, and so uh, a liquor company in Texas actually had the name on hold for a whole line, and they ended up when we asked to have it, they said they would relinquish it. They weren't going to use that line. So
How
but
nice is
I
that?
also, though, I've been playing in an all-girl rock band too, and we just one of the members has decided that she's not going to play anymore, so we're bringing in a guy. So we're trying to figure out what's going on with that, and then I have different bands that call me to guest and stuff. So at one time I was playing in 4 or 5 different bands plus teaching, and I still keep about 20 something students
Wow. And still at the music store?
at my home now.
Oh,
So that
at home.
Right. The music store, it was a good experience at the time, but at my home, it lets me be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah.
At the music store, and I totally understand why people have to do this with lessons, they have to pay, and if somebody's sick or hurt, they still have to pay and do their lesson. And so at my home, I'm like, okay, sick or hurt, let's just cancel this week. We'll roll that credit forward. And that way, if I actually, and I do not bail on my students unless it's something I really feel like is a good opportunity. I'm like, hey, I've got to go to Nashville. They call me to go. So we kind of flexible back and forth. So it allows me a little bit more flexibility at my house.
No, that's great. I'm glad that you have that as well, as a creative outlet. Here you trained your own bandmate, Ashley Rose. How about that? So you never know what one of
Never
your
know.
students, and I've told people before, always be nice to people, because you never
Yeah.
know down the line, where that's gonna come. Hey, I might need that thing
Right.
that guy knows how to do, that girl knows how to do, you know. So yeah, always be nice to people. And here
But
you trained your own
there's
bandmate.
sometimes you have to stand up for yourself and be firm. But even when you do that, you don't have to degrade another person. You don't have to cuss them. You can stand your ground and be, you have to set boundaries sometimes. And one time I had to set boundaries with a bandmate, and we decided to part ways. And she suggested me for jobs since then. So she said I was always dependable and professional. It just got to a point of she was more interested in her boyfriend than playing in the band. And so I just said, hey, we got to be all in, got to go different ways. And so she decided, of course, she's not with that boyfriend anymore. Sorry, but anyway, at that time in her life, that was more important than music. So I said, that's cool. I want to, keep on going more professionally. And so since then, she suggested me for a ton of jobs. I didn't have to be ugly to her. I just said, hey, this just doesn't seem like it's working for you anymore. You know, and I gave her a choice. Do you want to continue or you want to quit? She wanted to quit. So, you can stand your ground and set boundaries, but you don't have to be degrading to another person and be mean. But sometimes you have to say like no.
No, it sounds like you're a good breaker upper. Okay, in a band, in a business, in a financial. I mean, a business kind of way. You broke up, and it was a good breakup. She still recommends you to things. There's no hard feelings, no malice there. You're nice. You're a nice person,
I
Mala
try.
Patterson.
I try to be.
And you
Sometimes,
succeed.
sometimes I don't want to be. Sometimes I want to. We can't do that. That's not what we're supposed to do.
Well, I knew you were going to be a happy person, a very smiley person. I'm looking at your videos from 7 years past all the way up to now, and the latest one with your brother Tubbs. One of them on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm watching. You're doing Quiznos commercials. What?
Yeah, my mom says she goes I cannot believe all the things that you. I'm always like, well, nothing, nothing ventured, nothing, lost. I mean, what's the big deal? You know, so with that, Quiznos threw out something to where, they had their 5-4-3 going on, and they were like, hey, we want you to do a little video with that. And so we ended up, I think we got $500 worth of Quizno food for that. Yeah, my brother was ecstatic about it. Well, the whole time he was like, this is stupid. This is stupid. And I said, but just trust in me. So when I'm not being called the queen of the hillbillies, I'm the queen of the bad ideas that always end up working out. Like the dog food jingle thing, my mom was like, she goes, I think you've hit a new time low with this. And then I ended up, getting it. And that was a pretty good little paycheck there. So, sometimes you gotta just try and see what happens. And I hate to say this, the more you try and the more you get rejected, it really doesn't, like, it's just I'm good. So you just keep on. Every video gets better, every show gets better, and you're like, oh, it wasn't meant to be. And if you just keep yourself busy, you're like, okay, that didn't work out, big deal. I'm doing the next one. So
Oh,
just
that's
keep
fantastic.
rolling forward.
Oh, and we'll just keep rolling forward. I think we're gonna wind this thing down. Oh my goodness, I've spent some time talking to you. I don't want this to be the last time that we chat.
No,
As time progresses, I want to catch up with you after we break out of quarantine and you start playing gigs. I want to help promote, all your gig playing and whatever projects you're in, not just Honeysuckle Blue, but other projects that you're involved in. And you don't limit yourself to one genre. You go,
that's what
country.
I'm
But
trying.
I
Yeah.
was when you said Last Dance with Mary Jane, I thought, are you doing it like in a bluegrass style? But no, you're straight Tom Petty in it.
Right. I actually play mandolin on it, and so I'm doing the little riff on the mandolin and the guitar breaks on the mandolin, and so it sounds really, really cool. And my mom, who's very, very critical and harsh, she goes, when y'all want to learn that song, she goes, I think that's the best cover. She said, and I'm like, really? She said she really, really likes it. So it's a guitar. When it's just Ashley and I, it's a guitar, and I play mandolin on it.
Oh, that's
So, but it's
fantastic.
still done the tempo and pretty much the style of Tom Petty, but with just a little different instrumentation.
All right, I put a subscribe on your YouTube, and I definitely look forward to having you on my feed. Any place that they can buy the music. I know you're on Reverb Nation, but are any of your songs out there for sale or
Well, we
Spotify?
were we were. I'm trying to think. I see, baby. I have some stuff up there from an older project that I worked on. I think there's 6 songs up there. And the new project, we were about a third of the way done, and we've just been shut down. I actually reached out to the studio yesterday, finding when we were going to be able to go back in. But we got 2 songs in. We were going to do it. I like to do a 6 pack, what I call it, 6 songs, a 6 pack. And so we were like a third of the way in, and they just said, when we left, they said, girls, we're just going to be shut down for several months. So that was the middle of March. So we've been shut down just 3 months on it. And one of those songs I'm real excited about, a friend of mine I went to kindergarten with found out he writes songs and stuff, and we hung out. And he gave me a song called Bootcut Jeans, and I liked it, but I said, can I rewrite it? And so I did some changes on it, and it's so fun. And he lives in Washington, D.C. He's a computer programmer. And so it's just so fun. And over Christmas, he came home and we got to talk, and we jammed out and played music. But who would think, a postal worker in Alabama a computer program in Washington D.C. have co-written a song, that's a pretty cool little song called "Bootcut Jeans." So, but we're just in holding right now, waiting for COVID to finish up.
I
So
get it. I get
we're
it. I hopefully at least you can maybe start doing some solo stuff. I mean, I guess that you can take your guitar and a microphone anywhere and do and
right,
play at a small coffee shop or what have you. I mean, a creator's got to be out there. I mean, I'm
right.
guessing you're missing doing your live shows. You have to be.
I am very much, and but I'm using this time. I was really focused on being in different bands, and I've been working on a set as a solo or a set with a bass player. So I just, as much as it, I just have to keep telling myself, use this time to write more, to get other stuff ready. So I'm just not totally vegging out. I mean, because it could be like, when is this going to end? I could do the Marilyn Monroe of, oh gosh, what's going on? But I try to be positive and like, okay, we're using this time to practice and prepare. Although, I think all of us have had those COVID meltdown moments of, when is this going to be over? But, we just got to be careful and be safe and just hope for the best and hope that it's over sooner than, later. But anyway, I am missing my shows and missing seeing people, but I'm just trying to make the best of it, but be prepared when things do finally open for good.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there's scientists out there working on those cures. They're smarter than me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, scientists, find the cure. All right, Mala Patterson. I usually finish these things off with last words for the people, and this could be something that you've heard in your past, words to live by, or
uh,
it could be just something that pops into your head right now. And like I said, this is not the last time that we're talking. We will talk again soon. But Mala Patterson, last words for the people.
Never give up and always keep a smile.
Well, there you have it, party people. Mala Patterson, Honeysuckle Blues Band. That's one of the projects she's working on. But my goodness, I knew she was going to be great. I was watching her videos all day today, and I mean, she's got stuff from 7 years ago, and you could see the progression from when she was, what she was doing 7 years ago, all the way up to now. We didn't even hardly talk about the videos, the content in there. She's playing violin, she's dancing, she's playing mandolin. Her brother's definitely in one of those videos. I think her brother's in one of the videos on Facebook. So find it there. I put all the links in the show notes so you can find all the places to look for Mala Patterson. But man, I was so glad to chat with her for well, my goodness, we went probably over an hour and a half, but great, so good. I mean, I could have gone a whole lot longer, but I'm mindful of people's time, and I know people have to get up for work in the morning, and I know she's going to work at the post office. Hey, you got a day job and a very responsible job. That's so good, and it helps you to afford you the luxury of doing the night job, the creative side. So I look forward to hearing more from Mala Patterson, and hopefully in the future she'll jump back on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Thank you again, Mala Patterson. Also, hey, let me switch over to you. If you'd like to tell your story, yes, you. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.